Now in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Bose Quietcomfort 2. We're going to do an EBPMAN call quality audio test, and we're going to see if these are your next earbuds. Let's go ahead and check them out. Now I've been testing the Bose headphones and earbuds ever since they've been releasing them to the market. And these happen to be the most comfortable that I've had for a very long time when it comes to the earbud category. And they have some really decent specs too. So we're talking about 6 hours of battery life. Now these have permanent either ANC on or transparency mode, or what they call aware mode on. So it really doesn't have an off state like some of the other earbuds, hence the 6 hours that you have. 24 hours that you get with the case that you're going to see in a couple seconds, and if you charge them for 20 minutes, you're going to get 2 hours of usage. So it's almost like looking at, for every 10 minutes you get an hour worth of use, which is going to be pretty good. They do have an aware mode, and the aware mode basically is transparency mode, but they call it aware mode because it's smarter than standard transparency mode. It basically is listening to the noise that's going on around you, and if something very loud is taking place, it kind of mutes it. It's smart so that you're not shocked by that noise. And you also have the ability to create custom profiles in the app, so that, for example, if you want a running profile, if you want a walking profile, if you want a study profile, a focus profile, we're talking, you can set these up. And I have to say that the active noise canceling on this is stupendous. It's like being in a void. You've heard me describe this like this in the past. Like, it's like you're basically in a zone of nothing. And it was funny because literally today, Nelda walks up to me and she taps me on the shoulder because she was talking to me just feet away and I didn't hear her. So they work really, really good. Now they have 4 microphones, Bluetooth 5.3. They don't have multi-point technology, but they do have a 6-device memory. And you've seen this a lot of the Bose products where you can register 6 devices and then you can switch to them through the app. So the chip has a Qualcomm S5 audio chip, and that chip does support multi-point technology. So let's see if there's a firmware upgrade that's going to change this, right? So again, 6-device memory, no multi-point, but we hope to see this in the future. SBC codec and AAC as well. It doesn't have all the codecs, so I expect that there's going to be some firmware coming. And then it has an IPX4 rating. Let's take a look and see what's in the box, and we'll see what they look like close up. Now in the box, you're going to find your earbuds in the case. There's no protective tape on it preventing it from being charged, so they're actually going to be charged with whatever battery life you have in the case. You have a USB-C cable, and then you have a set of ear tips, right? And these little wings that you'll see in a couple seconds. And they're going to give you the best fit possible when you get your Quietcomfort 2s. Now when you take a look at the case, there's a lot going on here. So first of all, you have the smallest case to date when it comes to the Bose. So this is the traditional Bose case. This is the Bose case now, so it makes it a lot more pocketable. But if you compare them to the, again here, the new Pixels, they still have a way to go, right? And I'm going to reach in my pocket because I'm going to pull what I have, what is my everyday carry. And these are the Space, again from Soundcore. You can see the size. And then if we were to look at, again, the Galaxy Buds 2 Pros, they're the same size as this one here. Now you can see what we're competing with. So great effort on their side to get something smaller, but they still have a way to go. Now, the case itself also is lacking wireless charging. So you're going to be able to charge these via the cable, but not wireless charging. And that's also something that's a little disappointing. You do have a little button here that's going to be used for pairing, and when you open this up, you can see you have LEDs, charging LED, and this is also where you're going to do the firmware updates. By the way, this has the most current firmware, right, that's available. They are magnetically locked in here, and they basically guide themselves. The one other area that I'll highlight is, and I hope they address this with the firmware update, is that they cannot be used independently. So you can't use one in your ear and the other one not. You actually have to have them both at the same time, or only one ear, like the one on your right side is the one that kind of drives everything. So I have to keep that on all the time. So let's take a look at the earbuds. We'll take them out of the case. And a lot has changed. Check a look at this. The design has changed significantly. If we take the previous version, and by the way, one of the things I really liked about the previous version, even though the case was chunky, was that it had this button, right? Open this up, and then this is how they came out. But look at the difference. You know, these are gargantuan in size, right? Massive, massive difference here. So a lot smaller, and I'm going to put one on so that you can see what they look like. So here I have this guy on. and I have this guy on. Pretty big, right? It's like pretty big difference. So I really like what they did there when they redesigned it. So now what you're going to have here is there's no physical buttons, right? Everything is going to be tap, swipe kind of stuff, press and hold. You'll see kind of like the commands that are there. You have the little the wingtips here that are going to allow you to kind of lock them in your ear, and then you have the ear gels. What happens is when you set these up for the very first time, you go through a hearing test, and it's going to go through like the vroom that you hear from Bose when you turn these on, and it's going to basically map your ear canal to give you the best audio experience, and then to determine if you have the right tips. So what you do is you put them in your ear like this, put it like this, and you twist them, and then as soon as you put them in your ear, and we'll see what it looks like right there, you get that vroom that starts up, which is the Bose kind of like startup. So this is what they look like. Relatively small, right? They're very tapered, right? So and they're very comfortable. I've been using these for at least 6 hours today and have had no issues whatsoever. All right, so let's talk about the audio quality before we actually go through our tests. First of all, I have to say that from an audio, these have punchy bass. They do have a bass profile, which is what I turn on because that's what I prefer. And I have to say that they're thumpy, they're throaty. And I'll say also from standard music, let's say bass, mids, and highs, instrument separation, I would say, you know, the overall sound stage on these, it's what you would expect from Bose, right? But again, they're doing really, really well in this area. If you were to ask me how do they compare to Sennheiser, which is something that I always get a question about, then I'd say the Sennheisers have a better sound signature than these do. But it's really difficult to compete with Sennheiser. But these have a great sound signature for Bose, and they're going to do really well, especially if you like great audio with great soundstage, and also if you love bass.
You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different, still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments, doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors, they kinda tell me what I'm thinking. I fell in love with the way we are and the way we lose it.
Quiet.
Now we're going to do a call quality test of the Bose Quietcomfort 2 in a quiet environment. If we take a look at our decibel readings, about 29 decibels in noise. It's going to switch. Now this is what the Bose are going to sound like in a quiet environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Let's go ahead and add some wind to the environment. Now this is what the Bose Quietcomfort 2 will sound like with wind in the environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Now we're in a much noisier environment, and as you can see here, our decibel readings are much higher, anywhere between 40 and all the way up to 76, maybe 78 decibels in noise. What we're going to do is we're going to switch to the Bose Quietcomfort 2s. We're going to stay quiet to see how much is eliminated, and then we'll continue with the audio test. It's going to switch. Now this is what the Bose Quietcomfort 2 sound like in a noisy environment. This is a test. 1, 2, 3. This is our test. Now if you're wondering what the Quietcomfort 2s would sound like with the infant crying in the background, this is what they're going to sound like with an infant crying in the background. Now if you're wondering what the Bose Quietcomfort 2s would sound like with a dog barking in the background, well, this is what they sound like with a dog barking in the background. Now if you're wondering what they would sound like with a doorbell ringing, this is what they're going to sound like if the doorbell was ringing. Now Bose does have a companion app, and I highly recommend you install it. at the very beginning, again, it's going to do that test. It's going to check and see if you have the right fit. But then beyond that, this is where you're going to get your firmware updates. This is where you're going to do all your configurations, and you're going to really personalize these. Keep in mind that these already have a firmware update available. So when you get them in your hand, you're going to want to do that. So here you can see that you have your left and right battery levels. You have your modes, and I've created some for me. So basically it comes with quiet and aware. I created a focus mode and a walking mode. And each one, when you choose it, you actually hear it say it. You could actually create variety of modes here, right? So you can have remember your mode, as you can see here. And then what you could do is you can actually delete a mode, because you can only have 4, and then you can create a new mode. So you have a lot of options when it comes to the different settings that you have. So I'll probably keep these because I do a lot of travel, so quiet is going to work for me on like, for example, on a plane. And then I'm going to have my walking mode, and then some of the other modes that I have for my daily usage. Now, in addition to having your modes, you do have EQ, and remember I said that I had mine set up for the bass boost mode, and that's what you see right there. You then also have bass boost reducer, and I have been noticing that there's some flaky stuff going on with the actual app, so I'm going to set that bass boost again, and it could be just because it's been just recently updated. You also then have shortcuts, right? So you can tell it what it's going to do based on each one of these. So you'll notice that you can cycle through things. You can press and hold, so touch and hold type commands, and then you could set each earbud. I expect that there's going to be more touch type functions that you'll be able to do as firmware updates become available. You then also have your tips, right? So that's going to be, you know, just things about the actual device itself. You can go into the settings area, and in the settings area you're going to find your serial number, firmware information, all the kind of things that are important about the actual device themselves. And then there's going to be an area in here where you'll be able to see some of the repeated settings that we just went through. So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.